Very good morning. Very good morning.
Good
Response.
morning, sir.
Good
Very
morning,
good. Are
sir.
you able to follow what I am telling to you till now? Now I am going to start with a new topic, synapse. In the previous class we had spoken about general organization of nervous system, under which so many things I had explained, maybe interlinked with the topics whatever I am going to talk about now onwards. Under which the first topic I am going to speak about is synapse. It is an important topic if you consider exam point of view, not only for the exam point of view, for also understanding central nervous system, it gives a basis. So anyhow, I will tell why it is so important regarding exam point of view. Say synapse, it can be asked as a long essay type question. Under central nervous system in paper 2, it can be a long essay type question. Define synapse, classify synapse, then explain the synaptic transmission. This is number one. Number two, it can be something like define synapse, then analyze the properties of synapse, explain any three of them in detail. And other points like under 5 marks, under 3 marks, questions are being asked. Say, yes, draw the diagram of a chemical synapse, draw the diagram of an electrical synapse. Yes, synaptic inhibition, summation, occlusion, subliminal fringe, all these issues are being asked, exam point of view. And there are so many things which can be asked in Viva Voce also. Viva Voce also. So synapse, it is a neuronal junction through which information from one neuron passes to another. There are about 2 into 10 to the power of 14 synapses in the central nervous system. So you have to know that this number is going to change in respect of the necessity. Whereas we have already mentioned in the central nervous system, there are 1000 billion neurons, out of which 60% will remain, 40% may degenerate during the process of aging. So for us, during the process of aging, whatever is being removed may be replaced by virtue of involvement of synapses. So yes, formation of new synapses or synaptic changes are known to occur in the nervous system throughout life. Whenever information is sent to the appropriate places in the central nervous system under the function. Why we need synapses? So we need synapses because peripheral information needs to be sent to the appropriate places in the central nervous system. Number one. Number two, commands from the central nervous system are brought to the peripheral organs which are channelized through these synapses. Then we have to know the third function, that is higher functions such as integration, learning and memory are possible due to synapses. We have to know about this. So before going to the synapse, we have to know the integral part of synapse. It may be because of involvement of neuron. Yes. So you have to know that neuron, which is comprising of, yes, cell body or soma. This is axon. These are dendrites. Dendrites. Soma comprising of cytoplasm containing Nissel's bodies, conspicuous centrally occupying nucleus, microtubules, neurofibril, which are responsible for the movement, then axon. Axon, in case of a myelinated nerve fiber, it will have layer like myelin sheath. This is myelin sheath. Myelin sheath. This is Schwann cell. This is axoplasm. axolemma, this is neurolemma, endoneurium, this is outside, endoneurium. Then you have to know that there is a gap which is being referred to as node of Ranvier. The gap is about 1 μm in thickness, and between two such nodes of Ranvier, a distance of 1 millimeter, that is the internodal portion, is available. Then the terminal portion of the axon producing branching and expansion called as synaptic knobs. So this is something called as memorizing the almost first topic of nervous system, which was dealt by me under nerve physiology. Understood? Now we will move on to further continuation, part of which can be constituted by a neuron. Yes, synapse, how it is being constituted, I will describe later on. Synapse can be, yes, it may be a neuronal junction, number one. Number two, it can be also considered as a junction between a neuron and a muscle cell, or it can be considered a junction between a neuron and a gland. Gland may be an endocrine gland or exocrine gland. So you are seeing that neuron 1 synapsing onto neuron 2, constituting a proper description for synapse. Neuron 1, neuron as well as skeletal muscle cell constituting neuromuscular junction, already explained, and neuron and a glandular cell, so which is called as neuroglandular synapse, which may be dealt in case of gastrointestinal tract physiology. So yes, now how the synapses are being classified? Synapses can be classified according to the parts of the neurons involved, according to the nature of the transmission that is happening, according to the number of neurons involved. So remember, according to the parts of neurons involved, here axodendritic, presynaptic neuron, the neuron which brings information to the synapse is being referred to as presynaptic neuron, and the information available in the junction is being moved on to another neuron called as postsynaptic neuron. So there are minimum of 2 neurons should be there. So yes, presynaptic neuron, postsynaptic neuron. So axon of the presynaptic neuron in communication with the dendrites of the postsynaptic neuron, constituting axodendritic communication. Then axosomatic, axon of presynaptic neuron is in communication with soma or the cell body of the postsynaptic neuron. Then axon of presynaptic neuron in communication with axon of postsynaptic neuron. Then fourth variety, dendrites of presynaptic neuron in communication with dendrites of postsynaptic neuron. So there are 4 different types of neurons in principle, you can tell. Then according to the nature of the transmission, so I will explain later on about this. Chemical synapse by virtue of release of the neurotransmitter, electrical synapse by having gap junction, the information available in the presynaptic neuron being transmitted to the postsynaptic neuron, and conjoined, it is a combination of both of these two. It is having gap junctions as well as in the presynaptic axon terminal, it is having neurotransmitters, so that you are going to have a constitution of a newer variety called as conjoint synapse. Then third variety of classification is basing on number of neurons involved. So here number of neurons involved, presynaptic neuron 1 is in communication with postsynaptic neuron 1. So that is 1 to 1 type of synapse. One presynaptic neuron synapsing onto another synaptic, so that is a postsynaptic neuron, constituting a description for 1 to 1 type of synapse, which is commonly occurring in case of parasympathetic division of autonomic nervous system. 1 to 1 is common in parasympathetic nervous system. Very commonly asked question in Viva, as well as it can be asked in case of multiple choice question. Another one to many. One presynaptic neuron is in communication with many postsynaptic neuron, which is seen in case of sympathetic division of autonomic nervous system. One presynaptic neuron is in communication with multiple postsynaptic neurons, seen in case of parasympathetic division of nervous system. Then third variety. So third variety is many to one. Many presynaptic neurons are in communication with single postsynaptic neuron. Many to one. This is something called as, later on I will tell, convergence type of property. This is divergent like property. One neuron to many neuron. Information available in one neuron being conveyed to many neurons. Divergence. Then many neuron to one neuron. That is in case of convergence. This is the one which is most commonly occurring in case of central nervous system. Many to one. Now we will go in detail one by one. Anatomical classification and physiological classification. Many times teachers will accept this. Yes, axodendritic type of synapse, axosomatic type of synapse, axonic type of synapse, dendrodendritic type of synapse. Then physiological, chemical synapse, electrical synapse, conjoint synapse. Chemical synapse, so here you can see chemical synapse. So what is happening? Presynaptic nerve, axon terminal of the presynaptic nerve, that is the terminal button containing synaptic vesicles containing neurotransmitters at the point of arrival of the impulse to the axon terminal, associated with release into the gap between presynaptic membrane and postsynaptic membrane. Presynaptic membrane and postsynaptic membrane, this area is called as synaptic cleft. So this is chemical synapse. Yes, it is by virtue of release of neurotransmitter, so that we many times tell that the direction of conduction of impulse is possible in only one direction. It is possible to have the conduction of impulse from pre to post in case of chemical synapse. Whereas in case of electrical synapse is having, so here you can see, this is the presynaptic membrane. This is the part of presynaptic neuron which is involved in the constitution of the synapse. So that is the presynaptic membrane. So presynaptic membrane bears gap junctions. So these gap junctions are in alignment with gap junctions available at the post synaptic membrane. This is the part of the postsynaptic neuron which is involved in the formation of the synapse. So synapse is being constituted by presynaptic membrane, postsynaptic membrane, a gap between these two synaptic cleft. Understood? So you have to be in a position presynaptic membrane, postsynaptic membrane, and gap between these two. So yes, now we will tell electrical synapse. It is a synapse wherein transmission is occurring through gap junction, so that information available in the presynaptic neuron can be moved onto the postsynaptic neuron, or from the postsynaptic neuron information available may be brought back to the presynaptic neuron. Means it is bidirectional. It is bidirectional. Now, third variety is conjoint. What is conjoint? Conjoint is the one wherein you are going to see this part as well as this part, neurotransmitters. So, presynaptic neuron, the axon terminal of which is bearing the gap junction, also containing the neurotransmitters. So as a result of which, you are going to have release of the neurotransmitter, amplification of the information available in the presynaptic neuron to be conveyed onto the postsynaptic neuron. It is the combination of both chemical and electrical transmission. So yes, imagine a situation wherein this chemical synapse and electrical synapse are jointly existing. So here you can clearly see what is that. So here you can see that this is the chemical synapse, this is the electrical synapse. Association of these two happening in order to produce conjoint. So as a result of which you are going to have a bidirectional flow of information. Yes. So you try to remember whatever I had told. There is a presynaptic nerve, there is a postsynaptic nerve, there is a synaptic cleft. So presynaptic nerve, the terminal portion of the presynaptic axon is expanded, the membrane of which is constituting presynaptic ending. Postsynaptic ending, it is the portion of the postsynaptic neuron which is forming the synapse. So presynaptic ending that contains neurotransmitters, mitochondria, etc. Postsynaptic neuron containing receptors, site for receptors for neurotransmitter allocation. Then synaptic cleft, gap between these two, which is called as synaptic cleft, which is a gap between presynaptic and postsynaptic ending about 20 nanometer in width and 20 nanometer in width. So remember what is really happening. So yes, there will be communication between two neurons, between a neuron and a muscle, between a neuron and a gland, and the synapse is an anatomic site. It is not the anatomical continuity, it is the physiological continuity. Communication can occur by means of electrical transmission and chemical transmission and conjoint transmission. Then there will be release of neurotransmitter from the presynaptic neuron you are going to have the release. How it is going to happen? So at the end of presynaptic neuron, there are voltage gated calcium channels. When action potential reaches the synapse, these channels open, causing calcium ions to flow into the cell. As a result of which, increase in the concentration of calcium in the axon terminal of presynaptic neuron. As a result of which, vesicles containing neurotransmitter are excited. As a result of which, neurotransmitters which are present in the vesicles move towards the periphery and they attach to the inner surface of the axon terminal, that is the presynaptic membrane, and there will be a process called as energy dependent, calcium dependent exocytosis of synaptic vesicles with release of neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. So yes, the neurotransmitter can diffuse through the synaptic cleft and can bind to the neuroreceptors in the postsynaptic membrane, producing the respective channels to open. So remember, there will be two varieties of neurotransmitters. One is excitatory, another one is inhibitory. Excitatory, which is associated with depolarization as a result of release of such neurotransmitters and attachment to such a type of neurotransmitters onto the binding sites available at the postsynaptic membrane. What is going to happen? There will be depolarization. So minus 70 to minus 60 millivolt. It will become less negative. Less negative. It is moving towards positivity. So it is going to initiate an impulse. Yes, later on we will tell. So neurotransmitters such as acetylcholine, noradrenaline, dopamine, 5-hydroxytryptamine are examples. So then inhibitory, this particular synaptic neuron axon terminal can contain inhibitory neurotransmitters. These inhibitory neurotransmitters are capable of producing hyperpolarization. Hyperpolarization as on the postsynaptic membrane, such as GABA and glycine are the examples. So you remember GABA, glycine, they are the examples for inhibitory neurotransmitters which are producing inhibitory postsynaptic membrane potential. Postsynaptic membrane potential. So you have to know about this. So later on we will highlight once again about this. So we will highlight so chemical synapse. We have to know about the chemical synapse. One is the axon terminal. Second one, that is the axon terminal of the presynaptic neuron constituting the presynaptic membrane. Then voltage gated calcium channel at the presynaptic membrane. Then you are going to have exocytosis, release of the neurotransmitter. Then postsynaptic membrane having receptors for the neurotransmitters, and you are going to have activity of the type of the channel when it is going to operate and impulse is being generated. Later on we will talk about this one by one. So yes, we can talk about this as synaptic knob or axon terminal. This is also being called as the part of presynaptic neuron taking part in the formation of the synapse is being referred to as presynaptic membrane. So you are going to have the synapse constituted by presynaptic membrane, postsynaptic membrane and synaptic cleft. Remember this. So yes, synaptic knob, presynaptic membrane. This is synaptic knob, presynaptic membrane, synaptic cleft, postsynaptic process. This is postsynaptic membrane. So we will highlight synaptic knob or the synaptic button. What is that? So here axon, this is the neuron, axon, myelin sheath, axon loses the myelin sheath and is going to swell, producing knob-like entity, and this knob containing synaptic vesicles containing neurotransmitters. Also this axon terminal containing mitochondria which are required for releasing the energy. If the synaptic vesicles are circular, they are containing excitatory neurotransmitters. If they are flat, they are containing inhibitory neurotransmitters. And transport I have already mentioned, microtubules present in the neuron responsible for the transport. So presynaptic membrane. So the inner zone of the presynaptic membrane contains dense cytoplasm. This forms presynaptic vesicular grid. So this vesicular grid containing mitochondria, containing vesicles, in turn containing neurotransmitters. Synaptic cleft. This is the gap between pre and post synaptic membrane. Gap of about 20 to 40 nanometer in width, which is containing extracellular fluid with glycoproteins. So this is the presynaptic membrane. This is the presynaptic membrane. This is axon terminal. This is the postsynaptic membrane. So this is the gap, synaptic cleft. Understood? So this is synaptic knob, synaptic cleft, postsynaptic membrane. Postsynaptic membrane. This is the region. So this is the region which is receiving information from the synapse. Region of receiving neuron. Also contains zone of dense cytoplasm, contains number of receptor proteins projecting outwards to the cleft, and neurotransmitter are attaching over these receptors. Now there may be a kind of viva question. So what are the types of chemical synapses? Chemical synapses can be of two varieties, type 1 and type 2. What are the basic differences between these two? So here structure, it is asymmetrical in case of type 1, symmetrical in case of type 2. Synaptic cleft is wider in case of type 1, narrower in case of type 2. Postsynaptic membrane thickening, it is marked in case of type 1, less marked in case of type 2. Extracellular fluid in the cleft, it is present in type 1 and absent in case of type 2. Then shape of the vesicle, in case of type 1, it is spherical. In case of type 2, it is flat. Neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter in case of type 1 can be acetylcholine, 5-hydroxytryptamine, glutamate, epinephrine, norepinephrine and dopamine. So neurotransmitters such as acetylcholine, 5-HT, glutamate, epinephrine and norepinephrine as well as dopamine. Whereas in case of type 2, GABA, gamma amino butyric acid and glycine. Effect with the type 1 chemical synapse excitatory, type 2 chemical synapse inhibitory. Type of the synapse that is with the type 1 is axodendritic, whereas in case of type 2 it is axosomatic. Axon of presynaptic neuron, dendrites of postsynaptic neuron, axon of presynaptic neuron with soma of the postsynaptic neuron. Whatever I had highlighted, once again I will sum up. So, action potential signal arrives at the presynaptic axon terminal. As a result of which, there will be opening up of voltage gated calcium channels. As a result of which, calcium moves into the presynaptic axon terminal from extracellular fluid. As a result of which, inside of presynaptic terminal, concentration of calcium rises. As a result of which, there will be a calcium dependent, energy dependent process of exocytosis of neurotransmitter. So there will be a process called as calcium dependent, energy dependent exocytosis of neurotransmitter. Then the neurotransmitter thus release to the exterior, that is into the extracellular fluid or to the synaptic cleft, moves through it and reaches the receptors present at the postsynaptic membrane. Neurotransmitter molecules binding onto the receptors present at the postsynaptic membrane. There will be opening up of respective ionic channels at the postsynaptic membrane. Opening up of respective ionic channels at the postsynaptic membrane. As a result of which, movement of ions into the postsynaptic neuron through postsynaptic membrane. Movement of the ions into the postsynaptic neuron at the postsynaptic membrane. Change is going to happen in the membrane potential in the postsynaptic membrane. Change in the membrane potential in the postsynaptic membrane potential according to the type of the neurotransmitter, according to the type of the channels that are getting opened. And you are going to have development of synaptic potential. There will be generation of synaptic potential. Try to remember this. Reaching the action potential to the axon terminal, opening up of calcium channels, voltage gated channels, and movement, influx of calcium into the synaptic, presynaptic terminal, calcium dependent, energy dependent exocytosis of the neurotransmitter, binding of the neurotransmitter to the receptors at the postsynaptic membrane, opening up of the voltage gated, that is ionic channels at the postsynaptic membrane, movement of the ions into the postsynaptic neuron, and change in the membrane potential, that is the postsynaptic membrane potential, and development of synaptic potential. Now, what is happening? So here we have already mentioned release of neurotransmitter. Remember, neurotransmitter can be an excitatory or inhibitory. Excitatory or inhibitory. There can be development of excitatory or inhibitory postsynaptic membrane potential. Remember, very commonly asked question, differentiate between excitatory postsynaptic membrane potential and inhibitory postsynaptic membrane potential. What is that? So we will talk about this later. So then, once after the purpose is being served, there should be removal of the neurotransmitter from the synaptic cleft should happen. And once after that, what is happening at the postsynaptic neuron is there will be development of action potential. So yes, so release of the neurotransmitter, development of IPSP or EPSP, then removal of neurotransmitter from the synaptic cleft, then development of action potential at the postsynaptic membrane. Now, what you are going to expect? Nerve impulse reaches the axon terminal. Depolarization of the presynaptic membrane. Voltage gated calcium channel is getting opened. Increase in the calcium permeability is going to happen. Calcium is going to enter into the presynaptic neuron. So yes, then increase in the calcium levels in the axon, presynaptic axon. There will be energy dependent, calcium dependent exocytosis with the release of neurotransmitter into the cleft. Then kiss and run discharge of neurotransmitter. Most commonly Viva question, this is a Viva question. What is Dale's phenomenon? Dale's phenomenon, at the arrival of the impulse to the axon terminal of the presynaptic neuron, there will be increase in the calcium level in the axon as a result of influx of the calcium from outside to inside, and there is a process called as exocytosis of vesicles containing neurotransmitter into the cleft, and process called as kiss and run discharge of the neurotransmitter, totally proposed by Dale. That's called as Dale's phenomenon. What is kiss and run discharge? So remember, kiss and run discharge, kiss and run docking is a type of synaptic vesicle release where the vesicle opens and closes transiently. In this form of exocytosis, vehicle docks and transiently fuses at the presynaptic membrane and releases its neurotransmitter across the synapse, after which the vehicle can then be reused. It can be reused. Kiss and run differs from full fusion, wherein vesicle collapses fully into the plasma membrane. So here it attaches, releases and comes back and ready for its next cycle. Understood? So you have to know about this. Kiss and run discharge of neurotransmitter. Then development of EPSP. So it is excitatory postsynaptic membrane potential when you are going to have the release of the neurotransmitter which is excitatory in nature, as a result of which at the postsynaptic membrane you are going to have the development of the depolarization. So depolarization of the postsynaptic membrane by excitatory neurotransmitter such as acetylcholine, adrenaline, noradrenaline, glutamate, 5-HT, etc. Remember, these are the excitatory neurotransmitters. So yes, acetylcholine, adrenaline, noradrenaline, then glutamate. Yes, glutamate, 5-hydroxytryptamine. So they are the examples. So at the point of postsynaptic membrane potential, development of depolarization following the effect of attachment of a neurotransmitter molecule on the receptors present at the postsynaptic membrane, we consider this as EPSP. It is becoming less negative, -70 to -60 millivolt. 10 millivolt of something called as depolarization is happening. So yes, 8 millivolt and latency of 0.5 millisecond. It has got a latency of 0.5 millisecond. So then, what is the ionic basis? So a neurotransmitter binds to the receptors, proteins, opening the ligand-gated sodium channels plentifully, less plentifully calcium channels. So sodium channels thus open, making it as a point that entry of sodium into the postsynaptic neuron is going to happen, as a result of which postsynaptic membrane undergoing the process of depolarization. At the point of binding of neurotransmitter such as say glutamate, there will be opening up of voltage gated sodium channel at the postsynaptic membrane, as a result of which you are going to have influx of sodium, you are going to have an upward deflection which is representing itself as a depolarization wave, depolarization wave. So this is called as depolarization. So yes, towards depolarization, and it is producing a local current. Depolarization producing a local current. Understood? Then EPSP. So yes, EPSP, excitatory postsynaptic membrane potential, can exhibit properties such as summation. Summation can be of two varieties, temporal and spatial. So summation, as we are knowing that EPSP is a graded response, does not show all or none response. It can be only summated. It cannot show all or none phenomenon. So already you are knowing all or none. All or none response can happen with threshold strength of stimulus. EPSP can be developed by virtue of stimulation with subthreshold strength of stimulus. Understood? So you have to remember that. So summation is possible in the form of temporal summation or spatial summation. So temporal summation. So yes, multiple stimuli of subthreshold strengths are being applied onto the post neuron. Yes, what is happening? You are going to have effect being added up. So that is called as temporal summation. When multiple stimuli of below threshold are being applied one after the other, the effect is being added up, producing a response at the neuron, referred to as temporal summation. Temporal summation. When stimuli are applied repeatedly in short duration, or stimuli are applied in quick succession, one after the other, they are of subthreshold intensities and are being added up. Effects are being added up, producing temporal summation. Whereas spatial summation, so when postsynaptic membrane receives impulses simultaneously from large number of presynaptic terminals, from the presynaptic terminals, you are going to receive so subthreshold strengths of stimuli. Yes, subthreshold strengths of stimuli are available from your your presynaptic neurons. Presynaptic neurons, as a result of which effects available from presynaptic neuron, multiple in number, they are of subthreshold strengths. Effect is being added up, and you are going to see the effect in the postsynaptic neuron. That is called as spatial summation. When multiple presynaptic neurons are synapsing onto the postsynaptic neuron and presynaptic neuron are being stimulated, you are going to have additive effect being seen at the postsynaptic neuron, which is called as spatial summation. Understood? Now, whatever I have mentioned, we will highlight. Excitatory postsynaptic membrane potential, it is a local response. Its magnitude depends upon amount of neurotransmitter released as well as number of receptors activated, and it observes or undergoes process of summation, temporal or spatial summation. Summated EPSP of optimum magnitude forms a current sink, as a result of which it can draw charge from adjacent membrane and result in the formation of action potential. Action potential can be developed at the initial segment of the postsynaptic neuron, which is having lowest threshold for stimulation. After one action potential is being conducted, initial segment can fire once again, once after refractory period is over, and if EPSP is maintained. So you have to know that after one action potential is being conducted, initial segment can fire once again, once after the refractory period is over, and if EPSP is being maintained, stimulation is being maintained, EPSP is being maintained, you have to know that EPSP is having a longer duration than that of action potential. So you have to know that. Then what is the local response? How it is different from action potential? So local response against action potential. Local response, it is representing change in the membrane potential towards firing level. Action potential, it is change in the membrane potential and results in the complete depolarization. Second issue or second factor, characteristic, size of local response depends upon strength of stimulus, but action potential size does not depend upon strength of the stimulus. Then local response does not obey all or none law, but action potential obeys all or none law. So local response can be caused even by subthreshold strength of stimulus. So local response, it is by virtue of subthreshold strength of stimulus, but action potential is developed only by a threshold stimulus. Local response can be summated. It can be summated, but action potential cannot be summated. So local response, it remains locally. It is a graded response. Yes, it remains locally. Whereas action potential is conducted along the membrane without change in its size. Understood? Very, very commonly asked question. You differentiate between local response and action potential for 3 marks or 5 marks. Understood? So then, development of IPSP, inhibitory postsynaptic membrane potential. It is a hyperpolarization of the postsynaptic membrane by an inhibitory neurotransmitter such as GABA, gamma amino butyric acid. It is an inhibitory postsynaptic membrane potential representing hyperpolarization of postsynaptic membrane by the influence of inhibitory neurotransmitters such as GABA. So what is happening? Inhibitory synapse. So yes, release. GABA is being released, opening up of calcium channel, a chloride channel. As a result of which, it is a downward deflection, hyperpolarization graph. So it can also be summated and summated. Yes, spatial summation and temporal summation is possible. Yes. So it is because of the release of neurotransmitter such as chloride or opening up of potassium channel also. As a result of which, chloride from the extracellular fluid can enter into the neuron, or potassium can diffuse from the diffusion of potassium from the neurons to the extracellular fluid. So you can say that chloride can move into the neuron, or potassium can move out of the neuron. So potassium efflux or chloride influx, which will result in the hyperpolarization. Understood? Now, very commonly asked question: what are the differences between excitatory postsynaptic membrane potential and inhibitory postsynaptic membrane potential? Excitatory postsynaptic membrane potential, it is because of opening up of sodium channel. Inhibitory postsynaptic membrane potential, it is because of opening up of chloride channel and movement of chloride into the postsynaptic neuron. Then EPSP, it is not associated with potassium and chloride channels. They are not getting opened here. But here we are going to see chloride is being opened, potassium channel is being opened, potassium efflux, chloride influx can be seen. So you are going to see the efflux of potassium, both above actions resulting in positivity, minus 70 to minus 60 millivolt, minus 70 to minus 80 millivolt here. So yes, in case of EPSP, it is causing increased positivity of the neuron. So excitation that can lead to the depolarization and development of action potential. Whereas in case of IPSP, it is going to cause increased negativity inside the neuron, resulting in hyperpolarization and inhibition of the neuron. Thus, action potential will not be initiated. No action potential is going to develop. So we will continue in the next class, receptor protein and remaining issues. So we have mentioned regarding, yes, we have mentioned regarding so many things. So many things we have mentioned: synapse, classification, definition, classification and modification in the definition, and types of synapses, synaptic transmission, development of EPSP, IPSP, local response and action potential differences, then EPSP and IPSP, all these things we have mentioned. Now in the next class, we will talk about remaining part of the synapse on Saturday. And remember, this is an important topic, so you have to be very much careful that you have to follow Yes, what exactly you are doing? You are following. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, there should be a response from your side because we are talking about central nervous system. We are talking about synapse. We are talking about neuron. All these things you have to have complete alertness. Understood? Huh? We will continue. You are able to follow now. Speed is okay. Yes. Are you able to follow what I am telling? Speed is okay. Speed is okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Speed
Yes,
is
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Only one voice I am hearing. What about other students? There are so many
Yes,
students
sir.
attending. Yes.
Yes,
You
sir.
have to be 100% alert. Understood? Thank you. So in the meantime, you try to understand what are all the probable questions that can be asked in this particular topic. So I am highlighting in between also. Try to follow it. Try to follow it. Understood? Thank you. ಯಾರು ಬಂದಾರೆ? ಇಂದಿರಾ ಮುಂಡಕರ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಲೀವ್ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ? ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ.